Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar on Eating Right, Perspectives from Ayurveda. My name is Janvi and I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. First is a market research and consultancy firm operating in India for over a decade and provides food and beverage consultancy services along with industry platforms such as events, conference and academic outreach program. We are a business associate of Giract, which is a global market research and consultancy organization in food and beverage ingredients and additives, and has about 50 years of experience in this field. First, in association with Giract, is running an R&D NPD accelerator program to address R&D requirements which are not fulfilled in-house. So in this regard, we invite expert speakers from the industry that benefits both industry and academic world from such shared knowledge. I'm pleased to introduce the speaker for the day, Mr. Makarand Parturkar. Makarand is a food technologist and has 25 years of diverse work experience in food industry, including dehydration of food, aseptic fruit juice processing, dairy products, herbal tea, and nutritional products. He presently works at Zydus Wellness Products Limited and is responsible for research and development for Complan brand in India, Middle East, Africa, and New Zealand. Makarand has his passion for agriculture, promotes organic farming practices, and educates farmers to adopt good organic agricultural practices. First, facilitates food companies to tap the solution from the Indian academia and young minds. We help innovative companies solve challenges in science, technology, and business by connecting them with an extensive network of Indian academia. First team members are all highly qualified food scientists with substantial commercial experience. We invite food, beverage, and food ingredient companies to discuss and avail the R&D Acceleration Collaborative Innovation Services with us. The handout for today's webinar is available in PDF format and is downloadable for your reference. So if you're not able to download for any reason, you could please drop a message in the chat window and I will send it to you. All participants are muted to prevent background noise. If you have a question for our speaker, feel free to post it in the chat window on your screen and we will try to address during the Q&A session. A recorded version of this webinar will be sent to you via email in a few days. Feel free to follow our social media forums where you can interact with experts and also discuss or post questions related to the ingredients industry. You'll also be updated on the latest trends in the industry and market research studies we publish. The link is available in the chat window on your screen. Now, without any further delay, I'd like to welcome Mr. Makarand to begin with the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I'm very thankful to FIRST for giving me this opportunity to interact with you people and present my thoughts in this topic. See, Ayurveda and food science, if these two are combined together, I think we can make a better world and give a better health to the people. That is what the thought I have in mind and willing to share with this presentation. See, in a modern food science, we speak about the food balanced diet with basis the quantification of the food, basis the macronutrients, carbohydrate, proteins, then macronutrients defined with respect to the recommended dietary allowances, quantifications basis the age, gender, region, and all that that. But in case of Ayurvedic dietary guidelines and Ayurvedic nutrition, Ayurveda talks but little bit more than what just the body. It talks more about your body as well as the mind and the soul also. It says that the food which nourishes your mind and soul also along with your body. And food is basically which gives you an happiness, which also leads you to give the sufferings. So in this presentation, predominantly, I will be thinking from the food science lens or the nutrition lens, what are the parameters and what are the different aspects of the food we should consider while designing and developing a food. If you are a student and academia, it can be a food for thought for you to develop and do further research. If you are a quick service, you are a businessman and are running a restaurant or having a foods delivery pattern, I see a great opportunity in the future to have the quick service restaurants on the customization of the foods and processed foods and beverages. as well as if you are making the food processor with preserved foods and kind of thing, you can think how this vata pitta kapha or the prakriti and all these aspects can be coined together to have the product portfolio in the future. So with the respect to uh, actually the good nutrition, what it says, ayurveda gives the different directions, and there are the 8 different aspects are being considered in ayurveda called as a ashta ahara vidhi visheshayatana. Charak Samhita is been, the Charaka was the great sage and very good scientist, you can say, and they have coined out, developed a framework. That framework can give you versatility as well as the specificity with respect to your own body constitution. Prakriti means what you are, as well as the food. Ayurveda has only system where it can customize very closely to your body and the food. So food, its preparation, combination, quantity, how much you should take, because always the question comes that and there are many questions from that side, how much quantity we should. So we will go in a detail in this short time. Everything may not be possible to cover, but I will try to touch base and then give you the things so that your interest can be developed. So then the from the area or habitat where you are living, as well as the time in the day when you are going to consume a food, when you are going to serve the food in the restaurant, what type of food you should give or what type of food you should consume, as well as the upayoga samstha means the ruling use, means how you should eat and all that. So we will go quickly about your body. So most importantly, in a business we have a consumer as an a key, means either you as an the person who is consuming the food or your consumer. So you have to understand first how the Ayurveda defines you. Ayurveda defines you in the form of Prakriti. Prakriti is a something which is a fundamental component of within us. It is, you can say, it is coded in the form of a gene. This Prakriti is for before Kriti. Prakriti means when you are actually born. Born means as in a single cell where you are being developed in a mother's womb. At that time, the Prakriti is defined. This Prakriti, Ayurveda says in the form of Tridoshik context, or 3 parts, 3 doshas. And these 3 doshas called Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Every individual has this Prakriti different, unique. And these 3 doshas, if you see in a modern science, we know that there are the 3 forms of the pharmacological body structures like ectomorph, mesoform, and anaform. Means you have the thin body, middle sized body, or a heavy body. So before, besides this, the Ayurveda speaks about your mind also. So I urge everyone to understand what you are first. And there are ample with this information technology, internet, and all that. There are many websites available. Those can make you aware of what is this tridosha and assess yourself what kind of prakriti you are. Are you? There are 7 types of prakriti Ayurveda defines, like vata prakriti, pitta prakriti, or kapha prakriti, and then vata pitta is a combination of these two. Then vata kapha is a combination of these two, and pitta kapha, and the sama dosha means all 3 are in equal proportion. So these are the patterns Ayurveda found it out. So first, we should either consult with the Ayurvedic doctor to find out what kind of the prakriti you are, or your consumer can be. Means I see in a restaurant or a food service, or there can be a database. So you know your consumer what prakriti it is, and then you can providing the food to him to pacify or which is a good for his own prakriti. So that kind of the model you can think it of in the coming time, and the basic fundamentals of it we will think it of in this 20 minutes time or 30 minutes time. So I have given the Maharshi Ayurveda's website. There are many other websites available. You can go on the net and do the Tridoshik evaluation of yourself. You will understand your psychometric as well as your physical characteristics basis that. This Prakriti and the food. We are made of food, and what we consume, we are made of that. Rather than we are made of what we have digested. We have consumed, but we have digested something, and all body is an accumulation of the whatever is the digested part of it. And this digested part, all these materials are made of 5 components. Those are called Pancha Mahabhuta: Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, and Akash. Ayurveda has given a very clear-cut framework of your Prakriti, this Pancha Mahabhuta, food, this Pancha Mahabhuta and the food, and how this food impact on your Prakriti. If you see this chart, the Prakriti is basically, it says, an energy. So we have the 3 gunas. Those are the good parts of the Prakriti. Means a Sattva guna, Raja guna, and Tama guna. Depending on the characteristics, the food can be defined as a Rajoguni, Tamoguni. This is the qualities it is having. So these are made up of all these Pancha Mahabhuta. Prithvi, Apa means Jala, Vayu, Tej means Agni, and then Akash means ether. So these tridoshik tripod, which is a Vata, Pitta, and a Kapha, how your fundamental constitution is defined, because Vata, Pitta, Kapha, it is a dynamic. It's not the stable. It with the season time it goes, and it may be aggravate, it may be pacified, and all that. So like that, you have the Vikriti in it. So if the Vata is higher, Pitta is higher than your Prakriti, if you are been classified as a say Vata Prakriti, but your Vata is aggravated or passive, so it is a Vikriti. So you have to have the balance within the scale of your Vata Pitta dosha as well as Vata Pitta dosha of Vikriti. If suppose you are scoring 1 on the Vata, 2 on Pitta, and 3 on Kapha. So same thing in the case of Vikriti also measurement, you should score 1 on Vata, 1 on 2 on Pitta, and 3 on Kapha. So this is only possible when you have your achar and your food in combination and meeting it. So food in Ayurveda is classified with respect to rasa. There are called 6 tastes. So we should have a food which is having all these 6 tastes. These 6 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. The sweet taste is made up of Prithvi and Jala. Again, it is back to the Pancha Mahabhuta. And these basis these then sour and sour taste having Prithvi and Teja. These all tastes either will pacify the taste, pacify the dosha, or aggravate the dosha. So the effect of these tastes on the dosha are being well defined. So you can select the food, make different kind of menus. This is the framework. You can make the n number of combinations basis the availability of the different food components, and there are certain compatibilities or miscompatibilities Ayurveda has defined. There are only 18 types of the Viruddha Annas Ayurveda has defined. So combining all these, you can decide and make a food that suits to your body, that suits to your own Prakriti. So we will go one by one. What are the types of the food Ayurveda says? What are the properties of the food Ayurveda mentions, and the different aspects of the food in selecting the food, so that you can decide a menu and the framework of the menu, how it works to you. So in Ayurveda, food is classified in the four types. One is a Lagu Ahar and Guru Ahar, means which is the food which is easy to digest, and the food which is heavy to digest. It can be linked to the glycemic index. Then the foods basis the solid properties like eatables, chewables, lickables, and masticables, means khadana and all that. Then the basis the sources of the food, and then basis the Hita Ahara and Ahita Ahara. Hita Ahara means it's the ahar which is having the all 6 types of the taste, and Ahita Ahara means the ahara which is having the only 1 or 2 types of the taste, not having the all types of the tastes or all rasas, you can say. Because see, the Madhura rasa is the predominant food we should have, because it is body is made of it. It is heavy to digest, and then the rest of the rasas are there to support the Madhura rasa to get properly digested. So these first 3 rasas, Madhur, sour, and salty. These three, and then the other 3, pungent, bitter, and astringent. These are being classified in this way to the basis the quantity required and all that. Also, you have the major chunk of the first, then little bit sour, then the third, and then the equal proportions of the all last 4. Now, basis the properties of the food as rasa, you said, then the physical properties of the food. Ayurveda defines the food into 10 different physical properties. Those are called gunas, and these are the opposite parts of them, like so soft food, rough food, you can say. Then Ushna food means the hot food and cold food. Then there are there are different aspects of the food that impact as an its own property on your body. And then the veer means the potency of the food. Again, it comes as an how it is going to give the impact on your body with respect to hotness, or whether it is a snigna food or guru food, or like basis the gunas and all that. And then the vipaka means what kind of the metabolite that food is going to make in your body, like whether it is given to give the madhura rasa to your body, or amla rasa to your body, or a katu rasa to your body. Means katu means pungent. And then guru and lagu. And then these all properties of the food, these components of the food, how they are going to have an overall prabhava. Prabhava means overall impact in our body to build and nourish you. There are 7 types of the tissues are expressed in Ayurveda called as dhatu. Those are basically rakta, means what your blood. Then rasa means a plasma part of it. Rakta, rasa, then majja, then you have asti, med, and mouse, and shukra. So these all 7 parts, when they are, there is a very good definition given. When you have a sama dhatu development from the sama dosha, then they have a better excretion of the body and all this, like that they say that you have the dosha balanced, you have the all dasha developed, and you are able to excrete not necessary requirement, and you are happy and all that. That is a good health. That is how the Ayurveda express the health in the Sanskrit shlokas and all that. I'm not exactly remembering those, but when I read it, it's a very fantastic to understand that part of it. So the next part is that when you understand these properties of the food, how you should choose the food. What are the qualitative aspects of the food you should consider to select. So first is the quantity of the food. How much you should have. The patya and apatya. Patya means the food which is good for you. Apatya means which can aggravate the dosha in that. So base is the time, then what kind of the preparation it has been used, whether it is a semi-prepared, heavily prepared, heavily cooked, and all that. This is your prakriti, your habitat where you are living, and as well as your tridosha, the vikriti that what you have at the moment, the status of your dosha at this moment. So these all 6 factors define the qualitative factors of the food, how you should select. So most important is a matra. Matra means how you should select, how much quantity you should. There are different factors or determinants of this matra. So first matra, the quantity is your ability to digest the food, means your agni. Then second is about the quality of the food, whether it is a lagu food or guru food, means whether it is heavy to digest or light to digest the food. Then are you taking the parigraha? Parigraha means a singular substance or singular rasa kind of the food, or you are sarvagraha, you are taking the everything of it. Then that all decides how much quantity of the different rasas you can take. Then now the quantity should be decided by you yourself. So when you see and eat, when you sit down cautiously and cautiously eat food, concentrate on eating rather than seeing looking television or laughing and being in a happy mood or in a sorrow mood. And then your body will give you a response basis the satiety. And it has been said that 2/3 means that you can make the 3 parts of your stomach, and with an experience we will understand it. So 2/3 means in equal proportions, means 1/3 part as a solid food, 1/3 part as a liquid food, and then the remaining 1/3 is should be kept as an empty. And when you will have the filling to the satiety level, you should leave. Still that generally we have a habit of overeating, and that creates an ama, and then the creates an issues in our body. And this is what Ayurveda mentions when you are deciding a serving in your restaurant, or when you are thinking as a technocrat to decide the serving of the food. This is something, one aspect I think we should consider while deciding the different properties of the food. Now, determinant of the ahara matra, I said you there are two. There are, one is the food related and one is individual related. There are 3 types of agni, that is jataragni, dhatwagni, and bhutagni, means the power of digestion, assimilation, and your metabolism. So this power of your digestion is dependent upon your age, your body, means prakriti, then your age, your what season you are there, and what time of the day you are there. So your body type, whether it is a vata, pitta, vata prakriti has an the irregular metabolism, while pitta has a strong metabolism, and then the kapha has a slow metabolism. So mandagni, tikshnagni, and the vishamagni. So similarly, when you are younger, you have a dominant kapha, so uh, uh, mandagni. So the kids have a very need of a very small quantity of food. When you are young, the pitta is strong, then you have the tikshnagni, so your food requirement increases. When you are old, you are vata dominant, your vishamagni. So again, your food requirement becomes selective as well as little. Same thing with in summer you have the vata dominant, so you should eat less. In winter you need more food. Similarly, when you are in the morning is a kapha, so you should have less food. Then in the pitta then more food, and in the evening again the less food. So like that, depending upon the time and the temporal, you can think of having the different foods. Then with respect to the properties of the food, I expressed the lagu food and a guru food. Lagu food means the food which is easy to digest, and you should have a large quantity of that food. And these foods, in a modern science, you can express it. There is a one book by Mr. Sanjeev Rastogi, translation Ayurveda, that very well expresses this in the form that lagu food has been assessed as the low glycemic index food, while the guru foods you should have a little quantity. There are examples given, and you can have the little quantity of those foods. So now, how you come to know that I have taken food in a right quantity or not? What are the parameters? When you have taken a food in a right quantity, you are not feeling the excessive pressure in your stomach. You are still feeling active, light, and you have a normal digestion after that. So you should observe that I had this, and then after digestion, I am not having this and all that. So you should ask your when even your customer is there or you consumer as an thing, you need to collect that database basis for as another part of the innovations I can think of. So when you have this kind of the body actions post eating, then I think we have the right quantity of the food. So that's the reason we should have conscious eating. If you are taking a less quantity of the food, then there is a vata is more, and then you will feel more hungry, as well as your development will not be good. So you will not be feeling energetic and all that. But when you have overeating, all three doshas get aggravated. Then you have the heaviness in the body. You may omit. You have the strongness. You will not feeling comfortable, and that is aggravates the indigestion in the body, as well as it creates the issues to you. So there are different colic pain and all those kind of the things. This is the vata, pitta, and prakriti. It is something will be more symptomatic in some characters, and something will be less. So when you have an indigestion, when you have the overeating, there is no space to empty space in the food to have the proper churning and digestion and all that. Generally, it is said that you should, if at this condition, there will be an ama. Ama means the indigested part. This ama is the reason for many diseases or ill elements in your body. So in our body, we have the eczema or chronic skin conditions, or maybe amavata is something called as the dosha or joint pains and all those things. These are basically because of the improper digestion of the different and generation of different chemicals and metabolites in our body because of the overeating or the multiple eating. Means you should have enough food when you are hungry. If we are not hungry, having still the burp of the previously eaten food, you are frequently eating. If you are kapha pravritti and eating food frequently, there will be indigestion. There will not be need. But if you are a vata prakriti, you are very active. You can take a small quantity of food. You should not take a large quantity of food. It will lead to indigestion, and again the ama will be there. So if you are of this, depending upon the prakriti, you can decide the portion size of the food as well as the frequency of the food. This is how it has been uh, uh, food intake as well as the quantity of the food is been well defined in case of the Ayurvedic science. Now, basis the different properties of the food, basis the Panchamahabhautik material composition of the food and your Prakriti defined on the Tridoshik platform and the Vikriti at the moment, you can combine the foods together and decide the quantity. Generally, it has been said that if you take the 2 handful of the solid food, 1 handful of the, if you take your own hand, that is the deciding factor of your food. 2 handful means of cooked food, which is having the solid and some part of the liquid in it, and the you should sip small quantity of the liquid in between. Should not drink a lot of water either initially or after. You can have a small quantity of buttermilk or even small quantity of water if you have a lot of food, solid food inside. So 1 handful of the water, 2 handfuls of the solid food, and then another 1 handful, which is an empty space in your stomach. That is what the quantity of the food we should consume at one moment of time. Now the sequence is, when you are very hungry, then your pitta is very strong. You should eat sweet first. So that sweet is which is heavy to digest, means the madhura rasa first, so that it is heavy to digest. So pitta, aggravated pitta will digest it faster. Then sourness, which also aggravates pitta, so it will help in digest. Then saltiness, which is aggravates kapha and as well as help you to assimilate, distribute, and maintain the fluidity in the body. While the pungent and bitterness will help you to manage the vata and kapha again as an astringent. So this is the sequence of eating the food. Uh, when it is from the source of the food, fruits first, then the liquid foods, and then the solid foods. This is how the Ayurveda explains that you should have the sequence of eating the food. Now, this is a very most important slide. See, if you see, you are understood the Panchamahabhatik Tattva and the taste, which is the predominant factor. Ayurveda says that the food should be tasty. Everything which is in a yak is a good, is a wrong. Ayurveda says that food should give you a pleasure, because a pleasure, ananda, is a food for your mind. As the food gives a nourishment to your mind and a soul, happy mind will be having a liberated soul. It only can be liberated soul. So your food should make you happy, and this happiness is given by your satiety. When you have a very strong hunger, pitta is strong, you will crave for, depending upon your prakriti. If you are pitta prakriti, you will very strongly crave for the madhura rasa, and basis that you consume the food, then naturally you will have a satiety, and your own demand for that particular rasa will diminish. So this is a sensory specific satiety. This is a science that what Ayurveda uses in deciding your matra, you're deciding the composition you should have, and deciding the your own prakriti and the food composition. So if you are a vata dominant person, the pacifying tastes are sweet, sour, and salty. So you should consume the foods those are sweet, sour, and salty, and you should avoid the foods those are bitter, pungent, and astringent. Uh, that will create the either kopana or kshamana. Means kshamana means that they will, when the vata dosha is aggravated, it needs to be deprived. So these tastes will deprive it, while the bitter and pungent will kopan, means they will aggravate it. Then if you are pitta dominant, then you should have a sweet, bitter, and astringent product, and you should avoid the product those are sour, salty, and pungent. When you are kapha, you should have you can digest means you should have a less rasa, means a lot like solid food or sugars and all those kind of foods, while you can have pungent, bitter, thicker, hot, chili kind of things. You can even have and go away with that kind of food. You can take it up. So in Ayurveda, it says that you should be a sarvagrahi, not a parigrahi. Parigrahi means a singular food eating. Sarvagrahi means you can have all this. That's why when you are in a restaurant, when you are serving a food, or you have a business of the providing the customized foods, or deciding a recipe or a menu, or deciding one formulation, you should think that what kind of these all 6 tastes I am adding in the food, and these taste basis you can recommend the food. This is a food for the water dominant, this is the food for the pitta dominant. Right now there is this kind of the regulatory framework is not there in India, and I think may come, and it's a high time that we should think of that kind of the framework in the near future. So, so this is how the Indian thali mostly. Now the question always comes that if it is so customized, how I can give a food to an individual on the regular basis, on day-to-day basis. That's why the Indian thali has been made. Which is not something which has been also combination of the food randomly. This food has been made together depending upon your own prakriti. You can choice whether I should have a more rice or little chapati or have a more dal or have that dal chutney or pickle or have something like as a spice mix which has been added and topped it up to have a like a like the pungent and these astringent properties come from these all components. Even the post eating, you depend upon if you have a mishtanna, you have the tambula, means pan and all this, the habits there. These are all decided basis the different aspects of the different rasas how you can have in your daily food. So these are the all six aspects one should consider while deciding the food composition, how your recipes and ingredients you are taking. So you can make the n number of combinations. I said in the thalis, this is these all six rasas. This is the framework it has been given by the Ayurveda. This is the availability of food you have. This is the you can prepare. This is the means if you over same food which is been raw is not good for the vata pravritti. If it is overcooked, it is not good for the pitta pravritti. If raw food is there, you can you are slow eater, so overcooked food even can be digested by the kapha pravritti. It's okay because they have the so you preparation and all that. That's called karana. Besides this, there are 18 different virudha anna defined by the Ayurveda. These virudha anna are something. These are the bad food combinations. And in modern processing, we are doing these kind of some mistakes like making the milkshake, mixing the fruits and milk together, having the fish along with the cheese and milk products. These kind of the different Virudhanna Ayurveda has developed. I think these Virudhanna they have an observatory science that says that creates the aggravates vata or pitta or kapha, and Tradoshi can isn't makes you ill or something which is not good for you or can create an illness. These are some examples of Virudhanna and all that, and I think these are the basic frameworks we can consider while developing a food. And there can be a specific this science gives you actually a framework to decide how the food scientist can use his knowledge, the modern knowledge of making the food, the modern processing along with together and the preservation techniques together with the Ayurvedic ancient knowledge to give a food that is pacifying you, that is giving you a good health, that is pleasing you, as well as not creating the doshas in you to have an illness. I think with this I stop, and you can, if you have any questions in this respect, you can place it in the chat box, or you can send me, or if there are few questions, I request moderator to ask those. I will be happy to answer and move ahead.
Thank
Hope
you. Thank you,
this will be
Makarand.
useful to you all. Yeah.
Absolutely. This was a very wonderful session, and I'm sure it was useful to all the listeners. Let's quickly move to the Q&A session because we received a lot of interesting questions both during the registration and some during the live session now. So I have collated some of the similar ones. Here's the first question for you. Could you tell us about the effect of herbs on stress and anti-cancer properties and role of CBD products in humans?
Yeah. See, as the Ayurveda on the three Buddhishik, I said you it's a mind. So stress, the Ayurveda has considered even the food has an impact on the mind. So there are many herbs, and those are stress relieving. Even say simply, now in the modern science also, even the people are coming with the golden latte, a milk added with the turmeric and a little bit pinch of black pepper actually will lead you a better sleep. When I was studying it from the modern science and the food science, it helps you to release serotonins, and these serotonins will help you to have a better sleep. You grow in a sleep. That's why you should have a milk in the night. Milk with turmeric and a little bit pinch. Even now, there is a well-known herb in every house. We have a tulsi, but we just have a tree. We don't eat it. We don't drink it. So I'm very fortunate that I work for the Tulsi Tea and Dr. Narendra Singh. I'm actually the guy. I'm very thankful for him. He was a professor in AFMC College as well as the professor in King George Medical College. Who actually I'm very thankful for him to bring my interest in this field. He has a book on Tulsi. Tulsi is a name called from Tulasi. Means whatever the doshas you have, the Vata Pitta dosha. The Tulsi has the adaptogens and different components in it. Those in a small quantity of the Tulsi makes you to balance towards your fundamental component. It will bring it back to you to your Prakriti. Even if there is an Vikriti, the regular consumption of a Tulsi will try to bring it you back to the Prakriti level. And so bringing it to the Samadosha. Samadosha means equal ratings of the Vikriti and Prakriti. And Tulsi is a tremendous stress relieving. Even the Krishna Tulsi, the impacts of there are well studied impacts of the chemotherapy and all that are there on the Krishna Tulsi. I have gone through a few papers long back, 10, 12 years before. So I think the Ayurveda has uh, knowledge as well as a potential to give us the stress relieving herbs in the daily food also.
Yeah, that was very well put. Here's an interesting question for you. How can we fix the quantity of herbs to achieve the claims correlated with them? So, is there a minimum quantity
Yeah.
of Ayurvedic ingredient recommended for daily consumption?
This is a well-defined science. In the classic texts of Ayurveda, like Bhav Prakash Nigunti, then there is the Charak Sanhita, as well as in the Ayush Ministry, as well as now in a couple of 3-4 years before, the nutraceutical food products defined under the FSSAI. The FSSAI has given the 400 different herbs and their quantities that can be used in a daily consumption. These Ayurvedic foods, they're actually in the Bhavaprakash Nigunti and as well as in the Ayurvedic text in the classic, the dosages are given in the form of the churnas or the part of the plant. So in the modern science, people use the extract of it. So what is a ratio of the extraction is been used there, and what is the active principal component percentage is there. So basis that you can decide the dosage that you can have. As well as there are many studies, modern studies, as well as in classic days, there are the different quantities one should have. It has been defined. You can use that knowledge base to decide the quantities of the food. So as a pickle, and most importantly, if you decide as a part of the food in the form of a rasa, I can say. So if you this 50 to 70% of your meal or a day's diet should be of madhura rasa or a sweet part. Then 10% of it can be sour. Then rest 4 means saltiness, then bitterness, then pungent taste as well as astringent. Can you say as in a 5%? You will not have a pickle in a lot more quantity. You will not have a salt in a lot more quantity. Ask your body, if I consume this herb or this was something, whether I was pleasant after that. Then you can decide the quantity. You can reduce the quantity. This is, see, the classic tests are given with respect to the therapeutic properties. We are talking here in the form of the food. So exactly the quantification is uh, there, but in the food you can have an pleasure to modify it basis your liking and dislike. Hope that this answers you.
Absolutely. So, moving on to the next question, what is the future of nutraceutical in terms of Ayurveda nutrition?
Yes, nutraceutical, already these herbs are being defined in FSSAI also, Food Safety and Standards Regulation Act. Different effects are there, including all the herbs like Tripla, Amla, and even many more are there, like those were in the, like one example, like Trikatu, which has been common food, like pepper longum, then we have the black pepper and ginger in it. So these are the common foods that what you can have. But when it has been mixed together, it gives the pitta aggravating composition, which you can have in a daily. Even triphala you can have in a daily, depending upon if you have a small quantity of triphala, your bowel cleansing will be good. So I see a great potential in the nutraceutical products in Ayurveda, and there are the regulations available. We should use those products and those methodology, those herbs in developing food products. And to be unhealthy, this is a magic masala, you can say. This is a small seasoning, this is a small component, or whether it is a bitter, pungent, or astringent, that changes the overall composition of your food. If you are taking other foods, and this small quantity of this all will change the dynamics of your diet. So I think it has a great potential.
Okay, thank you for that. We have a question on regulation next. What are the
Yeah.
regulatory requirements regarding manufacturing of food products for diabetes, obesity, and improvement in memory?
Yeah, very good question. And now the regulatory framework in India for the food domain is very good. FSSAI has done in last 18 years lot of work, and really salute these guys for those efforts, and as well as industry people to have these all inputs in the system. See, there are 400 herbs under nutraceutical, as well as there are the food for special dietary uses. It's been well defined. There is a regulatory framework how to you can have the ingredient based claims, how you can have the content claim, how you can have the product claim. For having the product claim for diabetes and all that, if they are not support, means that they are the food for those categories or the that segment, then you need to do the clinical study of your product, prove that, and get an approval from FSSAI that yes, this is a product I am recommending for this class of the specific purpose of the use, whether it is diabetes or managing something, or you should have a clinical or a memory or cognitive health or something. So the content claim as well as the product claim you can have, and the regulatory framework is well defined. You can visit the website of FSSAI and understand in detail. There are many people those who can guide you. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. How can we use Ayurveda as preservatives?
Yeah, fantastic. See, the class 1 and class 2 preservatives, Ayurveda itself has in its own science of preserving the potency of the different herbs. Ayurveda actually defined medicine also in this type form of 6 rasas. So I will answer it in 2 forms. One form is an preservation in Ayurveda, and how the Ayurvedic herbs can be used in the preservative. So first is Ayurvedic herbs using in the preservative. The antioxidant properties of the foods, and there are many properties of the food, like the cumin is an antiviral. There are see, mildly even turmeric can be used as an antibacterial, and there are different herbs now. Even the modern herbs like rosemary and different curry leaves, and those are being well known. Even in case of preserving mayonnaise and all those things in Western countries now. Even in my last company, Kraft Heinz, they were working a lot on this part. And it has been known that these all spices has the antimicrobial properties and all that. You have to find out the exact thresholds and levels through the research. There are many patents available now. People are using these natural micro or these anti-nutritional, antioxidants and these active components as the preservatives. Now, how Ayurveda did the preservation in the absence of these all chemical preservatives like benzoates and all these class 2 preservatives. See, the class 1 preservative like the vinegar, sugar, then salt, and desiccation, even as a method you can say, and oil. So these all, there are different types of ghatas and oil components in Ayurveda. Those are being long lasting. Even the ghatha preparation is also it's now we know the conjugated linoleic acids. Those are made in Indian way of making ghatha or ghee, are having the anti-cancerous and antioxidant properties. Similarly, the katha, if you are having the extended shelf life product, you want to preserve the potency of your herb for a short time. There are kwath. different kathas. For certain, even up to 2 months you can store. The same material has been boiled and concentrated. Or you can have asavas, means alcoholic extractions, as well as alcohol is self-made, arista and alcohol. Asavas as there. This was a technique the Ayurveda was having to preserve the different food, as well as the drakshasa or kind of or medicines. Particularly, food was common there, so the medicines were being thought for the preserving, as well as the use of salt, lavana, as well as the sugar or good. Chawanprash is in way the pishti is in made in a you can take an amla, you make a pishti which is made in a grata, means you have the added oil. There is a hurdle technology used in making Chawanprash. So it's a self-preserving, no need to add any preservative in the Chawanprash, because it has the water activity has been managed in a such a way that it will not spoil, as well as it has a lot of herbs, so it will not allow to grow the microorganisms or molds, as well as it is a preservation. The pishti making is in a way of preservation, as well as the addition of a lot of sugar or the good or the solids or the soluble solids in it. That is the way the Chawanprash is made. So I think Ayurveda has their own the methodologies to preserve food, even desiccation. That was a great learning I had with the doctor, because in my college and institute we see the artificial drying is far better than the natural drying, but he has proven me how the sun drying is better in preserving the components, because cell do not lose the turbidity. They try to means they will desiccate material slowly, and these tissues and the cells will concentrate within. So volatile components will remain inside. I did this experiment on the tulsi long back. We were doing the artificial drying, then I did the slow drying with the tindalization impact, and we were able to preserve up to 2% oil in the tulsi leaves. So that kind of the methods of the preservation in Ayurveda, I think, has a great value. We can combine these methods with the modern technology and this modern nutrition and Ayurveda. I think we should don't come on the either on the extreme side that this only Ayurveda is good or only the modern science is good. Ayurveda never says, or the Indian science never says that nothing is good, nothing is bad. You have to find out what is the base and use it. And in this aspect, I think we should take together and work together as a scientist. I think this is a great area. The youngsters should come together forward. Academicians should come forward, and I will be happy to associate with you people to do the research in this field in near future. Thank you for you all.
Thank you, Makaranji. This was absolutely a very insightful session, and thank you for patiently answering the questions. We received a lot of interesting questions, but in the interest of time, we'll have to wrap up the session now. So a recording of this webinar, along with answers to all the questions received, will be sent to you within few days. Thank you all for your active participation. Please take a minute of your time and answer the survey questions which you will receive after the session. It will help us plan our future webinars. Thank you all and have a wonderful weekend.